Fair motion on minutes.
I do that right.
Yes. Move to approve the minutes dated 7/19/2023.
Second.
Second, sorry.
Have a motion and a second for the minutes of 7/19/2023. Is there any additions or corrections? None, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And no Zoom tonight, right?
We have no members on Zoom tonight, though we have some audience members on Zoom tonight. And I don't know why that other computer isn't set up. The Zoom is here, you just can't see it. I don't, usually there's another computer there so that you all can see it, but.
Just can't see it. Okay, January 2nd minutes, this is what we have here, right? There's the cover sheet here for them.
See them in the.
You gave me a thing to say the minutes.
Yeah, I think those aren't done yet. We'll do the next time.
I do believe they're not done yet. They're not done yet right there, sure. Okay, so we're gonna chat on those for the next meeting. I'm gonna go right to the officer of the Greens parking discussions. So before we start on that, it occurs to me we're being asked to make a decision on a plan that we don't have about a situation that we have not seen. So I believe that the best way to handle this at this particular point is for them to present to us a plan that has these bump out areas on it, and that would actually hold a public hearing. There's no other fair way to let everyone in the situation have their say. And I know it's a little bit convoluted, but it's the only way for us to properly allow everybody to have their say on it, and for us to actually see, where these bump outs are and how they're being used. I would make sure that whoever's going to be drawing this plan realizes that any parking areas would have to theoretically adhere to the parking requirements of the town of North Reading, so they have to be done by 20 spaces. And it occurs to me that there may be some areas where you could get a 10 by 20 space in, and without impacting the adjacent roadway. So that being the case, that of course would not be, as soon as it was presented to us, we would say, well, you can't do that. So that's what I would like to see happen before any presentations are made, and let the presentations be made by either side at the time of the presentation of the plan, because then we will have an actual plan of what's actually on there, and I'm going to ask the board for their agreement, if they agree that this is the best way to handle this. And well, we'll send it over to the rest of the board.
Yeah, I agree. I appreciate the 112-page document. It gives a lot of information, and the final even 3 photographs are helpful in that they provide what the bump outs look like. I was in just reading it, I thought it was just a little turnout to let a person pass or something. Then you see the photograph and you can see it's a stall that would hold 4 or 5 parking spaces. So that's helpful to see that. But per the chairman, I think it's helpful to get it actually shown in that actually site drawing. And then secondly, what I see implied in the photographs is a slanted type parking, or striping, I should say. If that is something you want to do, per Warren's comment, that needs to work. So again, it kind of requires an engineer just to do those. So it might be a good time to just get the document updated. You're actually looking for an amended or, tell me the nomenclature, but special permit. So, I think it's a good chance to take the new document, do that. I think what you're proposing seems reasonable. I'll just get out there and say that. But at the same rate, I want to hear everybody's comments in the development and see what they say about it. Then I'll weigh in that.
We agree with you. Actually, we're not the proponent, we're the opponent.
Yeah, okay.
We agree with you.
Okay, good. All right. I appreciate you.
Well, I'm wondering why we don't have the proponent.
He's actually here on the Zoom.
Okay.
Yes, and I think.
But at the same time, even the proponent, you don't have to, it's not a case, we're not making a decision tonight, as the chairman says, it's more just, I think what he is proposing makes the most sense for everybody. Just get an updated plan and we'll take it from there. But
It makes the most sense for the town itself to have a proper record drawing.
Yeah.
We don't have a proper record drawing of what was done. What was done there was done without benefit of a hearing or anything. So those bump outs were put in and, so let's get them on a record drawing and let's, if they're gonna ask us to opine on it, then I believe we ought to have a record drawing, we ought to have a hearing, we ought to let everybody have their say and make it a true record drawing.
And Mr. Chairman, I have one question. You could ask maybe Danielle, since you did some of the memo here, but there's also a thing about the mailbox, no parking in the mailbox. How does that relate to these turnouts or anything like that? That was in one of the.
I think that's one of the things I wanted to.
Okay.
That's one of the things we need to see.
So it's these things, and then there's something that the Woburn U.S. Postal Service requested, because they obviously have the difficulty bringing their truck up and filling boxes or whatever, because there's people parked in those spaces. So I get kind of that, but
Well, that's what I want to keep.
it's another example,
That's what I want to keep all that discussion for. We're going to give us a plan, because rather than pick on any one item, we can look at all the items at once.
Yeah.
Make a decision based on an actual plan instead of picking at one thing or another yourself. So that's what I believe is the best. Everybody, Jeff, you okay with that?
I'm okay with that, sure.
And Jen?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so that's okay. Understood?
Thank you very much.
thank you. Have a good night. Thank you for coming out.
Did you want to say, I just want to see if Mr. Weiss needed. Oh, no. Okay.
It's easier.
Yeah.
I'll make sure that they heard everything that was said.
Yeah.
Yeah, so much.
Yeah, I wasn't gonna,
I think it saves everybody time too.
Yeah.
For no reason.
Pushing out
I did
tonight.
not wish to get into some long drawn out situation. Well, we try to figure out what each person is trying to do with it, so. Take you in for a moment, I'll be right back.
Good.
That's a lot of that. Good thing that they were asking for that.
Yeah. But, I get it.
The post office doesn't want front.
Yeah, that's mainly there.
Most of the plan shows they want to put spots directly in front.
Yeah.
I'm not sure we'll have anyone else on this, although we do have somebody in the audience. I'll angle it so they can at least see. I don't know why the setup isn't what it usually is.
You type on the memo or
I'll check.
just say, hey,
I smelled it.
It's probably because we're on an off night from our normal schedule that I
yeah, that's true.
thought Debbie had already requested the setup, but it's okay, we'll manage.
Hey, yes, so you for
Greenbrier.
Greenbrier, okay, we'll take care of that next then.
Service.
Okay, so, we heard this once before and we kind of just glossed over it, I think.
Well, our error was we only gave you the first page of the drawings that were submitted. So you have all 3 pages now with a little bit more information about what's actually being looked at. And so I thought I would maybe, if you'd like to explain a little bit about the project.
It's somewhat of an imposing structure, actually, when you look at it, it kind of fills in that whole background there, and there's a lot to it.
There's an exposed water treatment plant. And part
I'm
of
sorry,
that,
could you say your name, please?
John Bedell.
Okay, thank you, sir.
There's an exposed water treatment plant, it's been exposed its whole life.
Yeah, I know.
They were issued a permit to rebuild it, and part of the rebuilding clause was to enclose it. As part of the permit they gave to, / enclosing, not have an open plant anymore. So they rebuilt it, and then they opted to, for whatever reason, just not follow through with the enclosure. And they went around and around with the property management company saying this, saying that. He said this, she said that. Anyway, long story short, they've got a project now on the table and they want to close it.
Right.
I brought an architect down there. I proposed to them roughly 50 by 50. Maybe knock the wall down in front and use the building as the wall, as an advertisement, or keep it for prosperity because it's been there for 50, 60 years or whatever it is. So he superimposed the building in your photos of what it would look like. We kept it simple and plain, just a box.
Right.
To let you guys say, you want a purple, black, green, whatever. You want yellow and gold and all the components. My proposal was just put some trim boards and asphalt shingles on it to keep it from looking like a boxed commercial building. Put a 5-pitch slope roof on it. The fence and everything would be, of course, the parking lot side. Nothing be on the street. If you want to paint windows or put windows in it, fine. If you want to put a garage door, sliding garage door on it, make it look like a barn.
Yeah, so it doesn't,
These are just superimposed ideas.
doesn't have kind of a plain look about it. And,
Well, that was because we wanted to let you guys play with it,
well, we don't generally get involved in designing this, but for an applicant. Except we had Mrs. Romeo here, she was great at that. She was extremely good at that. So, I mean, I guess I would like to see a little bit of detail on it to break up the big barn side of it. But I don't know exactly what that might be, whether you.
They put a couple windows in it.
Yeah.
You can put if you want to put an old school sliding barn door on it, instead of a regular door.
If you have windows on the side, at least face it the side facing the street, if not the side facing the rest of the property. But
We're just concerned about the street side.
yeah, okay, well, I was concerned about the residents, seeing what they're looking at too.
They don't.
But I think on the street side, something like that, I'd like to hear from the rest of the board about what they think, so. As far as aesthetics go.
Is the building a, pre-engineered metal building based on, it looks like it, is it a new core? What, do you have the brand or what kind of building it is?
It would be a packaged steel. It's a space metal building.
But do you know
with an insulated metal panel.
do you know the brand though, and whether it's American Steel, Nucor, Butler, there's different manufacturers.
Well, packaged steel is their own.
It's called packaged steel.
Packaged steel.
Packaged steel.
Yeah, that's
I'll just
the,
look up their colors and stuff like that, but packaged steel.
well, the colors are whatever we want to paint it.
Yeah,
Well, that's usually not how I understand it. I mean, most of the panels come and they're,
I have the panels in stock that are white.
and they're white and you paint them.
And we will paint
How long is that gonna last?
last forever.
On aluminum,
Yeah,
just the spray coat that you're doing
yeah.
in our climate? I don't know about that, but I won't argue with it.
I can refer you to buildings that I've done, that I've painted, that are 10, 15 years old and still look the same.
Okay.
You know what you're saying. I've seen buildings that were painted, and 5 years later, they're washed out.
Yeah, especially on the southern side, on the side that hits the sun.
If you use appropriate paints, appropriate paints.
that'll be the west side we're looking at.
No, I'm just saying that, especially the south side of a building, is just the coefficient of steel movement, it's not gonna really do a good job of paint. But anyways,
And it's an insulated metal panel, it's not just a metal skin.
yeah, no, I get that. So I noticed there's no garage doors or anything like that, so there's none needed, it's just a door to get in, it's built
We
around it.
requested 2 entries and 1 garage door. We're gonna put the garage door on the front facing the street. Like I said, again, the proposal we laid in front of you was so that if you wanted, Danielle said, give me something that what it's gonna look like.
I get it.
You know, give me an idea of the size and scope of the building, and we should be okay with that. And then the architect approached me, and I said, let's leave it simple, and let's say, if they want to do this, we do it. If you want to move that over there, we'll put it over there. I mean, it's a blank slate, you can, you know what I'm saying?
A couple of things you said here, so, it occurs to me if there's gonna be a garage door on the side facing the street, the apartment that we have has the side facing the street, it does not show a garage door.
Correct.
Okay, so what I would, 2 things I would like you to direct the architect and say, we're basically okay with the location of the building, and we understand now why it has to be done and everything, but could you give us a drawing that shows, you know, any doors, anything that will be facing the street? And my only suggestion would be that it be painted a color that is either similar to or complementary to the color of the building, because Greenbrier is all brick, and so.
Right.
So perhaps a color more that blends more with the color of the building, you know.
And that was the concept of, you know, using white, painting or whatever, you know, doing whatever.
But it's whatever the final color is. But I think that the final color should be something that is more similar to the color of the building, you know, so that they match, if you will.
Yeah,
So if he could do.
blend with the property,
Pardon?
blend with the property.
Yeah, so probably a red or something along those lines that has a look that.
And then I was also considering, and I don't take it the wrong way, but I was also considering painting things on the building, windows or something. You know, details.
Well, yeah, there's been plenty of times when we have buildings, and even in, I think, the Walmart, it has things that look like, you know, they're
just paintings.
yeah, it's just
Yeah.
on there.
Yeah.
And if it makes it, so that what's presented to the street looks like it fits on the site, not like somebody dropped a block.
Big space building,
Yeah,
big box.
in the middle of the yard, you know.
Correct. And that was always my intention.
Okay. Well, if you could do, I think if you could do, and again, anybody in the board can jump in here, but if you could do something similar to that, get a matching color and give us a drawing that actually shows the doors and all that, I think that would.
So you want me to pick a color?
Well, I think you should pick a matching color.
A matching color.
Yeah.
Was there any color you'd recommend? I would have gone with tan. Been okay with it.
But there's nothing else on the property that's tan.
I know, but well, you understand what I'm saying? You were asking me to pick a color.
The roof is though, and it's got a mansard kind of, entries and stuff that have the asphalt shingles that are in that tan family, that rotunda there, it's also kind of has a similar coloring. So, I mean, I think you're kind of in the color wheelhouse. That's why I was just asking about what manufacturer, because, with the color charts that I see with Nucor or whatever, it's easy to kind of come up with a color.
They're all really simple.
But what I mean is,
Nucor,
if you're painting it, then you can clearly dial in. I'm just saying with the manufacturers, there's certain colors, whereas if you're painting it, you can paint it in. You're going to be able to match it.
And a color.
Yeah, so I do agree with Warren. I think these are kind of specific things, but I do think that the elevations are helpful, but they really should show if there is a garage door intended to be somewhere, it should be on the elevation. It's not on the elevations right now. And then, the point that you're making as far as having a palette where we can put windows in, all that, we can do that. You could show or propose like, here's what we're thinking in the front face to the street, because I think that's the key, right?
And the garage, I'm sorry about the garage door on the street. That could be on the street or it could be facing the park. We can pretty much put anything wherever we want.
The other thing I think, John, what I'd like to see too is the relationship of the pump house or the CMU shack that is to remain, I believe, right? Is that staying? It's the
They're showing it
it's the
right there.
10 foot high building there.
You can't see that on the rendering?
No, it's on the rendering, but what I'm saying is in your drawings, show the relationship of that, because it's about 10 feet high. So show the relationship of where exactly that building, because they're going to be slightly, or they are going to be attached, right? Or is it just separated?
It's separate.
Just separated. But if you can show an outline of where that is, so it gives you a context on that
I
elevation.
thought it was on the,
It's not, I don't see it on the elevations anywhere, guys. Do you see that?
The footprint's on page 2, but it's not on the elevation.
Right, yeah. So that's where I'd like to just see that, because what that, for me, John, what I noticed on the site, because I drove by there, is the pump house or the treatment plant control building is, is kind of situated down a little bit, and then you come around the corner where this building will be, and there's the back parking lot that's a little higher, a little lower, and I got a feeling based on what it looks like here, this might be in the lower section, which is good.
the pump house building.
The main building, the big one. So that's good because it goes down from the parking lot. Like if this was going to the back, as you can tell, it'd be up another 8 feet or something like
Oh,
that.
yeah, no.
So that's a good
It's
thing.
gonna have different elevations on the foundation.
Right, and so that would just be helpful just to see where the control building is in relationship. So just the way I would do it, it would just have, I'd just show an outline or a shadow with a call out just saying control building on that one elevation, and that's it. That would be helpful. But that's kind of it for me. I don't know, Ryan or Jeff, if you have anything to add, sorry.
I have a question too. I was just looking at one of these and the height was 26 something, whatever. The actual wall in the front of the building where the bushes are and something, I don't know if like, I know you should plot the building in there so you can get an idea, and I get that. But what my fear is when I looked at the elevation to the peak of that, and then what is the elevation of like where the walls and the hedges? Because
the walls are 8 feet. The building is 10 plus. I measured it already. The walls are 8 feet.
so that green, like the green brown wall, and
The white wall is 8 feet. Yeah, if you go to.
so then if the peak of the building is like 26 feet, so that you're gonna stick out that much more than
16 feet taller than the wall.
Right, and I think though, Jim, in perspective though, the way we're kind of looking at it from the drawings, that's why, to your point, it is good to show the control building in the elevation.
Yep.
Obviously 10 versus 26, so you'll see it, but that'll just be helpful to put in context, because you're right, you're seeing perspective, and I think though this is fairly accurate in perspective. I really do, actually.
It was, I was kind of amazed the way they did that. It's all computerized. They take photos from everywhere, and then they plug in the size and what they're doing in the building, and then the computer software puts the building in there for them.
Yep.
And, it shows you, yeah, it'll show you what it's gonna look like from the street. But it's not somebody drawing a little building and telling you it's gonna look
Well,
like
I
this.
don't think we have any objection to doing this, and we certainly,
Yeah, no.
if there's something you were supposed to have done already, then we certainly encourage you to follow through.
Yeah.
But if you could give us, I'd say basically it's okay, but if there's gonna be some detail that we don't know about, that's gonna be on there, if you could do that and give that to us, I think that's it. Brian, you have it?
Yeah, I'm just curious, this dot, I can't read the writing on this, on page 2, this dotted line in the front of the building, that's not the wall, it's not the wall.
I don't know, I'm not sure. I haven't looked at it for a while. I went to grab my copies and they were pretty messed up in the back seat today, so I was kind of embarrassed.
But I would just say generally, like, I disagree a little bit with the prior comments, I don't favor more, but like, I'd almost be more in favor of just like a green or something and save on windows and put in some plantings and try to screen it.
Yeah, I agree. I don't need windows. I agree.
Well, that's what this is. That's what this meeting was about.
Yeah.
Does that kind of get you guys in what we're trying to do, and we all agree. And so when I do come back, we say, yeah, that's what we're looking,
Like, I don't know if we're just kind of putting lipstick on the pig, we're better off disguising it.
I hate to say it, but that's what we're doing.
Like I said,
It's better than what's there now.
Yeah, it's really,
Yeah, it is.
exposed bumps, they.
But I mean, like, you know, if I'm putting this building up and I can add a bunch of windows or take that money and put in a bunch of engines that are gonna do a better job screening it in the
Yeah,
long run.
I 100%
Then we're
agree.
calling less attention to a metal panel building and doing a better job of making it go away.
Put in some fully grown plants.
Yeah, or I mean, they told us arborvitae's.
I was just gonna say arborvitae's.
They grow like 3 feet a year.
Yeah.
In 5 years, they'll be as tall as the building was.
Get like a 10
Promise, they're
something.
deer proof too.
Yeah, yeah. All right, so are you good? You understand where we're at here now?
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
so, try to make a decision on how you want to, if you're gonna do the plantings or if you want, and,
I'll throw some plantings on it. And, I was gonna recommend some corner boards and some facial boards.
yeah,
So
just make it look
it
good.
doesn't look like, asphalt shingles.
Yeah.
Architectural, whatever.
Yeah,
Earth tone color on the roof, match the octagon buildings of tan.
yeah.
It's up to say put that garage door on the left side or the back side, right? Rather than.
The only thing I was concerned was, I don't think there's enough room behind the building because the elevation goes up. Building, there's a walkway and then it steps up 8 feet to the parking lot.
Okay.
And then you have that.
You couldn't
So
drive,
you have a
you can't
garage
drive in on
door.
the back.
Yeah,
You couldn't come around with anything come in.
Can you drive off on the, call it left side, what is it?
Yeah, that's,
That drops
North
down
side.
about 3 feet to the parking lot too.
It does.
is there space in front of it between the sign and that?
We're looking on the right side
yeah.
facing the street. That was my original
The
location.
right end?
Yeah, the right end.
Doesn't seem like there's a lot of, like, you'd have to take down that wall, right, and everything, like, over there, it seems, right, or am I wrong?
It would be the easier.
Oh, because you come right off the parking lot, and go to the garage door.
Yeah, but I'm just saying you'd have to remove that masonry, you call it, mesh wall,
Oh, yeah, yeah, one.
in order to gain access into that.
We were gonna save the plantings and replant what's existing.
Well, if you can,
John, is there a site plan? I'm sorry. Chair.
That's what I was
Is there a
just
site
about to
plan?
say.
Just
Give us-
so you could kind
I
of,
have a site.
yeah, just even if it's,
No, I have a site plan showing the septic system, not septic system.
Yeah. something that we can look
that
at.
gives a lot more context, like where that fence is exactly, and, all
It's
that.
tough to gauge the depth of the rendering.
Yeah, the picture is just,
The rendering is helpful for the street view, but I can't tell
exactly,
if
it's not giving you
20
dimension.
feet in front of it or 5 feet or something.
Yeah, so a site plan we just dropped on it and showing and picking up the location of the garage door. If you could get that and get it back to us so we can get a look at it.
Is that a drive-in door? What's the attachment for the garage door? Is it
that was my next question.
a 10-foot door? Is it a 14-foot door?
No, 10 foot, 8 by 10,
8 by 10, okay.
or an 8 by 8. I don't even think they have that in the scope of the size. I think.
Yeah. So
I've been going around and around with this 2 years ago.
Yeah. I'm not trying to make it harder, I'm just curious.
No, it's not you.
17-foot face
It's not you.
front, like it's
They've been going around and around for 2 years. This has been going on forever. I just kind of like, really? You're gonna do that? Oh, yeah.
And John, just keep in mind, with Mass Plumbing Code, we love Massachusetts, but if you do create a door that a truck can drive into, then you're gonna need oil, water separator, floor drain, very pricey, so. Or just sometimes around that, they put bollards in front.
No
Whether
problem.
Jerry buys that or the plumbing inspector, because someone will say, nah, we know you can remove those. But I'm just letting you know, as a heads up, when you do a garage door. Yeah.
You roll the ball.
Yeah, that's interesting. It's gonna be a 6
That's
foot
the
wide.
wall already.
Yeah, you don't want to spend the money on
It'll be a 6 foot wide.
Absolutely trap.
Do you want just a regular overhead door? Do you want something that looks like a slide, like a barn door? I mean,
Just a regular overhead door is fine.
just a typical overhead
Yeah,
door.
I mean, for that kind of, you're gonna want, I mean, I don't know, it's 26 feet, so you can probably go with a panelized door, right? Versus you having to go more extensive roll up. You do a roll up when you don't have room to go up, but I think you can probably go up on this structure potentially.
They're not, the only purpose for the roll-up door is to get equipment
Right,
in
yeah,
and out.
yes, absolutely.
That's the only purpose for it. So it
Yeah.
doesn't have to be 12 feet or 10 feet or anything like that.
All right.
And the size, I'm pretty willing to bet that I can drop that size down a little bit because he proposed that size because there was a 13-foot-6 screw that drives it that might have to come out of something.
Yeah.
So we got the ridge at a certain elevation so they can hook onto the ridge, pull the pin out, and service it.
Yeah,
So that's what we got the elevation.
How tall is this?
There is
Nothing there, yeah. Oh. Meaning what's there now, the exterior one?
Yeah,
Okay, I don't know the answer, so.
how tall is the existing washer?
There's
There's no building there.
Well, that's what he means, what the sidewalk, I call it, you know, the workings.
So I think we're putting inside, that's inside gonna be.
It's about 30 feet across. It's a giant circle.
Yeah.
It's like 30 feet. And then you get the piping and everything. It's running about 8 or 9 feet above that.
Okay, so the overall structure is like 9 feet high?
Yeah.
This building is 20 foot clear, so
It's all kind of piping and structuring above that.
There's more work.
And probably 6, 7 feet.
Okay.
And it's a cement wall that holds the water.
You get 36-inch railing around it, all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Is, the question too is, and one that would be really important to me is, right now we're looking at a pristine roof, and we all know that happens with all design, and then you have to put a bunch of stacks in it. So what is coming out of that roof plane?
It was a 5-pitch, so you can hide everything on the backside of the parking lot.
That's what I wanted to hear, you know.
Yeah,
it's
you got plenty of room pitch to hide to run.
the generator in there.
I was gonna put my venting on, it would be the furthest away from, you see the way the building's gonna angle?
Yep.
All right, I was gonna put it on the furthest backside, gable end.
On that street.
And facing the parking lot.
Yeah.
And you can put it anywhere. I could put them along the wall, facing the parking lot on the back of the building. It's just, you gotta move so much air in the plan.
I would think so, and that's the question I wonder about. I'm not an expert in these plants, but right now you have kind of an open air situation where it's aerobic, it just goes kind of out there, and depending on the breeze for the neighbors, you know, they might catch it again on. But now that it's all contained, and you're going to have, you know, louver vents or whatever happening, it's going to be very much more concentrated, and then it'll come out on that side, on that, you know, windward or lee side. I'm concerned, but again, if you got approval to do this, it must be something they do all the
Well, it's
time.
gonna come out on the east side of the building and the west winds are the prevailing wind, so it's gonna blow right towards the condos. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, I just mean it's going to be more concentrated.
Jones knows.
It's more concentrated than just being kind
I
of.
deal with these issues all the time, so I'm right there.
I don't have a sense of smell after COVID anyway, so I still don't have mine back.
You know, I'd like to put it on the ridge, on the gable end.
Yeah.
That's where I'd like to put it.
Can you do a cupola, you know, kind of thing?
I don't know if a cupola would work, but I suppose you could put a cupola and then put some kind of vent in there and pull through the eaves or pull through the sides.
Yeah, then you're dumping out on all 4 sides, kind of.
Well, you also, the higher you get that vent pipe up, the lower the pressure is up there, so the more likely for it to take it up and away.
Yeah, it'll be passive too.
I gotta go, you know,
Oh, yeah.
what the reason you put a vent pipe on a house, you keep.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Just curious, the equipment around, it's on grade right now or on pads? Are they pouring a floor?
No, there'll be a stone floor inside.
Just
Everything
everything around the
stays.
outside and leave it as is?
Yeah, everything stays over the pads it's in. It has a generator. We're gonna put that generator inside the building.
Okay.
And, it'll just be stone, crushed stone inside.
So that's good, then you probably won't have to do a lot of separator then, though. Let you get
You might
around.
need a generator, though, you know, you might need a fire suppression.
Well, I think the site plan will be helpful.
Generator. I'm just kidding, yeah.
If we have the road, I'd love to see just like a row of plants in front of it.
Yeah, I'm with you, Ryan, on that. I think that's all you need to do, is just,
Save the windows.
because we get what the building is, it doesn't have to have all these bells and whistles on it. I think it's just, you know, it's set in there a little bit, like I mentioned, the back does raise up, like John said, so it's already nestled back in there. And the key is just what it presents to the street. And that's why I like the idea of leaving kind of what's there now in place, that fencing in there, basically. But if you can get some higher arborvitae or whatever, that would probably help. I would want to call more attention to it.
All right, you all set?
Yeah.
Okay,
You want a shrubbery? No.
all right, well, thank you very much for coming in and clearing up some of this, so we know what's going on.
So, just for review, elevation of the pump house, site plan, you want some kind of color on the building on the next drawing. And some shrubs. Show it with some plants around it.
In ventilation, just showing kind of what you're thinking was on ventilation.
Garage doors.
You know, where things will be, apertures, openings, pipes, stacks,
Yep. Okay.
reality, all
Okay,
Okay, thanks very much.
thank you.
Thank you, John.
Yep.
Thanks for coming out.
Okay, I guess the next thing we'll do is the St. Teresa's RFP.
Yay. I read through it.
Great.
It's pretty
A
straight.
lot of stuff to fill in though, right, for the specifics. So are you just coming up with like when, you know, these dates are, or like,
We'll have to wait to
Yeah.
backfill the dates based on, because the select board will ultimately have to give the okay.
oh, yeah.
So
Yeah.
whenever that happens, we'll plug in the dates that are needed for advertising. That will be the hard part. We'll just have to look at, you know. But it's really more the content. I mean, this is something I had town council review it and had our insurer also review it. And all the, you know, changes that they had have been made. The advice from town council was, you know, I understanding it's your intention, you know, hopefully to choose someone to give it to as a donation. You don't have to actually say that in the RFP. You know, allow people to say, this is the package we have put together for ourselves. This is the project we have in mind. We would like to have the land, you know, for no cost, and this is our development program. So basically that would be, we made sure that the language would all accommodate an affordable housing developer, that it would be clear that any housing would have to be in perpetuity, that the maximum number of units was 2 based on.
It's not
So my question on it is, I mean, it does cover all the bases, so that's fine. However, well, if you ask me, okay, which one of these do you want to do? I'm like, because the number of different scenarios, I don't know how you weigh one against the other. If a developer comes in and says, okay, I'm going to build, you know, a duplex or 2 single family homes, and I'm going to build them and I'm going to market them for, you know, reduced value and everything for provide housing. And we say, okay, do we weigh that against Habitat? And they said, and we'll give you this much for the property. And then I would say Habitat comes in and says, well, if you give us the property, we'll build the same 2 houses, but you don't get any money for the land.
That is something, because it has to be an open RFP, we do have to see what each proposer would offer to the town. Now, there's no obligation in here for the town to take, you know, the highest bidder. That's not part of this. Instead, it's evaluative criteria, you know, and the best, you know, overall benefit to the community and meeting our, you know, our goals. But, you know, ultimately, it would be the select board to make the decision of whether and how to dispose of the
The
property.
net result is to build some, you know, a couple of low-income or affordable housing units, in whatever fashion, whether it be a duplex or whatever. That's the end game.
Yeah.
So that means I would imagine that Habitat probably has some money, right, that they can spend on land.
They have money to spend on their operations and their, you know, certain aspects of the planning. They also get a lot of pro bono services from engineers.
So the real thing that we're going to do is limit whoever does it can't sell these for market. These have got to be made available to buyers at a reasonable.
Well, 80%.
Yeah, they have to, yeah, at the most. So it would be deed restricted in perpetuity. So you can't just sell it. It would definitely be restricted.
I just want to, understand what I'm asking the question. I'm trying to figure out how we compare the apples to apples.
The criteria is like.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like though that it's kind of what Daniel said. I kind of like the openness of it because
Yeah,
you get, you might get different proposals that make you go, oh, that's a pretty good way to do it. Yeah, and so I kind of like that. And then it sounds like though the select board would make the decision, right? Like, so luckily, and then, so hey, but I do think, I think the packages themselves will speak to their value, I think, you just have to kind of wait and see what comes in. Might not even be a lot, it might only be 2 applicants.
There might not be a lot of organizations that can do something like this or
want to, right? A lot of them want a little bit more production, like more units. So this is like, this is a very motivated person that does this. Yeah, or one that's very tooled to do this, which is a habitat type group that takes these all the time. So that would not be surprising to see only one return and be in the board to be, so that there goes it, makes it easy. But I think it looks really good, Danielle. So plenty of detail in it and covers everything and all.
So I think what's ready. I think we don't need a vote or anything, right? We just gonna send it off.
Yeah, we're good.
If we're happy with the draft as it is now, what I can do is I can let the select board know that, like to discuss the draft with them. I can attend a meeting and just kind of present what we have so far, get some feedback, and then if they're comfortable, then we can start to get it out. It is their decision to give it to. At the same time, I'm sure they'll be looking for a recommendation from us.
Yeah, that's good. That's cool. Like that.
Are there restrictions, I'm sorry, I'm missing it. Are there restrictions on the size? I saw 2 units, but.
There are, because the zoning has restrictions.
It's RA.
It's, but actually, so it is already the underlying, but
It's
the
affordable.
overlay allows for more,
Density,
a little bit more density. Not crazy density, there still are side setbacks and everything else, but you can do more on the property.
I'm just trying to think of the different ways you present on this, right? Like what's, aside from the monetary aspect of it, what's going to be a defining character?
Well, that's going to go to the select board. That's the thing. I mean, they may ask us for an opinion on one of the applications, but I think they're going to hear it and make the decision. And they'll be looking at the dollars and what the town gets.
It's kind of really scary, yeah.
Because
What other variables are there besides the dollars?
Well, I mean, because they're going to, their constituents, if you will, are going to say, don't give this away, get some money for it,
Yeah.
And so if a developer comes along that will provide this housing for the proper amount, that will be transferred to the owners in the proper price range, and we'll pay, enough money for the property, they'll probably get one of those.
Is there a height restriction there?
There is a height restriction. I have to look it up. I know for RA it's 35, and I think it's probably the same.
Probably
But
Yeah.
That's the Charlie factor, right?
Okay.
Bigger the house, the bigger land.
Unfortunately, it is because again, when we talk about how much can an applicant pay for the land, it's not very much if it needs to be sold at 80% market. Honestly, it's so tight right now. But my developers that are doing affordables, they're not like workable. They have applicant issues, that's more at market, but they have applicant issues, and then they're losing money when they build. Because they're only making, so they're selling them at 200 whatever thousand less, and that's kind of all their market is, even less than that. So you're selling them for a loss, but that going in, everyone knows that. So that's why when it's a one-off like this, you really do need the help from the town that this is all we can pay for the land, because that's helps us make it to that 80%, but that's also why Habitat works, because that's their model. They can. So there's certain, again, groups that are more tooled for this than just a builder that's just like, I'm going to go for it. You're not going to make any money if you're just a builder. Honestly, paying everybody.
Paying for the land.
Yeah, for land, design, normal fee for trades, everything like that. It needs to be different kind of player. Be interesting to see them.
Okay.
Because this will set the tone right for the other ones. So it'll be interesting to see how we do.
So on budget discussion, we didn't.
We're out of money?
No, I just wanted to follow up. So we already talked about the budget. I did submit it, had my meeting with the TA and finance director, about a week ago. And they didn't object to anything or suggest any changes, except that the TA just wanted to point out, just to get us thinking, that we have in the past talked about there being an economic development position in the town. I know we've talked a lot about that being potentially tied to whether or not there was a sewer project. The suggestion was made to me that possibly it wouldn't necessarily matter whether we had a sewer system or not, that a person in that position could potentially develop relationships with businesses and deal with some of the licensing and permitting issues that come about. It is definitely something we've talked about before. I can't tell you that I'm prepared right now to be able to instruct a new person on everything that they would be doing in that job. I would still struggle with that because I don't know how well developed it is, but Mike did point out to me that the budget process, they always encourage us to think in multi-year thinking rather than just this year. Understandable if we're not ready to go and hire somebody, right now this year, but maybe it's something that we want to consider for a future year, just as we're looking down the road and making plans for how we want the department to function long term. Might we foresee a position? It was something that he brought up.
I think it probably, and I'm glad it would be a long range thing, but I think, you're right, that right now we don't have enough tools to give them to work with. So, and one of the tools would be the sewer system. So if we had that, that would be huge, because then that would be a jumping off point for them to start trying to find people who will come here now that we have that, as opposed to people who would never come here because we don't have that.
True. I think what Mike was saying too is that the businesses we have currently, sewer or not, the businesses we have currently do also have needs. And I didn't realize this, but there are other departments that get calls about, whether it's licensing issues or things that I never see because it just doesn't come to planning. I still think I might struggle to fill up enough work for a position for somebody.
Yeah, I agree. Because
Yeah.
it's kind of just down the W corner, a little bit of Concord, and I think person one day a week almost could cover the to-do list.
Yeah.
That's in fairness to the person. You don't want to board an economic development person that has nothing to do.
Yeah.
That, I've already talked to everyone.
Right.
I took care of that on Monday.
In fairness,
Now what?
there's a lot of people that would love a part-time job maybe of doing just that and have all the skills or something.
Do any towns share?
Okay.
Do any towns share that?
That's interesting.
I'm not sure. A lot of the towns around us have a full-time economic development position, so
Does Middleton?
I don't think they do. And actually, I should
They're doing great. Retail's amazing, like in their business.
find out. That's a
Yeah,
good
it's
question.
just interesting. I mean, because I feel like they're like us. They don't have the septic. They're kind of developing very rapidly along 114. They seem to be doing a lot of things right.
Yeah.
They have a little bit more land.
Yeah, they have land.
A lot more
That's the
green
difference.
field.
We have swamp, They have land.
You have swamp. That's understandable. I do have that. Different on the jail.
Okay.
All right.
Just to get us thinking for a future year, whether it's part-time or full-time.
Yeah.
That's all I wanted to say.
That's cool though.
Yeah.
Interesting.
All right, so our town meeting warrant articles.
Thanks for your explanation.
Oh,
Sweet. That was
You're
helpful.
welcome. I didn't know much about the upcoming town.
Now we know.
Now we know.
Because
Yes.
that's what I'm saying. We got that advertisement and and it made no sense. It was the one in the mail. It was just kind of everything was vague.
Yeah.
It had the three things on it and it was just like, so that's what I asked. I reached out to Danielle, like, what exactly are we doing here?
I hope the memo was helpful in explaining. I had started to type out all the different things to email everyone, but like not supposed to do that.
I think the property is such a no-brainer though, because it really makes it contiguous, that area. No matter what we do, and you've always talked about, Warren, because you've been around, there's opportunities missed where you don't pick up something that would have, squared off a big area or whatever. So
Look at the frontage you're gonna gain.
this is totally one of them right here. I mean, it's right next to the rack. You know where it is, Brian, right? I mean, it's a no-brainer. And I'm assuming that, Daniel, is this kind of what drove the meeting in a way, have it being special? And then they just figured, oh, while we're at it, we got a couple of things open, I'll throw them in.
I need a little more money for
Yeah.
the fire station.
Yeah, well, is it more money or remember they passed over Article 11, so it was more that they didn't know the amount and now they know it? Is that?
The fire station?
Yeah, for the fires, or did they know the amount back in October? And because remember, it was passed over. I don't think we approved it on Article 11.
I don't remember how that was dealt with at the time.
I was trying to find my, where I write down past, and I couldn't find the darn thing. No, this guy marks it up good.
There'd be minutes from that. I can.
What I mean is, are we because that would concern me a little bit, but that we, in October, we did 150, 250, whatever, and now we're doing another 150?
I think Abby will probably give you a good explanation. of
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, but that's what's so sometimes you don't get the meat until like the meeting. It's like, so you come like there to find out the actual.
That's true of a lot of the things that happen.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
250.
Oh, it's 250, thank you.
Yeah, and I don't remember what the
Yeah,
outcome was at that last time.
okay, but again, I get it, so they need that's timely. And then the other one was just moving funds over.
Cleanup, yeah. So the water tower, 5.
Oh, yeah, water tower paint.
Yeah.
And then so 50,000 was needed in addition to what was already funded for Central and North Street
Is
improvements.
that just to get Jeff Griffin's graffiti off it? Or what are you saying? King of the world! Oh.
Apparently a berm is needed. A little shortfall, so everything is from available funds, no borrowing or
Yeah.
bonding.
So it should be a rather quick.
I don't know.
Oh, you don't?
So I need to say that. But
I don't think so.
So Jeff, what do you think's a contentious one, like deep, because I'm naive.
The purchase of property, and,
Every time you go to purchase property, you're right.
Okay,
it's a mess.
yeah, so I'm
It's a-
naive to that.
Why do we have to buy this?
So-
We have tons of property. Why are we buying it?
Yeah, because what you're gonna hear is, our budget's a mess, we're fiscally upside down.
Yeah.
Why are we dropping 600 grand? We could use that somewhere else and do
The
this.
schools need it or another.
Right, and you're gonna hear it all.
It is.
You're gonna hear it all. So the argument, I can just tell you in my own experience with people that I see from day to day.
Really? Okay, well, you're opening my
But
eyes then, because.
But that's just,
I get it.
it's not my
I get it,
opinion,
though.
it's not my opinion at all or whatever,
Yeah.
but I'm saying that's the feedback that I have
It's a
gotten.
fair thing. I mean, we all know we have a lot of budget.
Fiscally, we're fighting for everything.
Yeah, it's one of those, it's like Daniel was just saying what Mike said there about planning in the future. It's one of those things like you have to take this hit now for something that could be so far off, but it's like, it seems like it's the right thing to do, but I totally get it. With sewer loading and all this stuff, yeah, the fire station alone, that's a huge.
But in the capital plan committee here, we're talking about an intergenerational center and a place to put it.
Right,
And we're also looking at,
it's a great location.
okay, but we're also looking at building some kind of temporary quarters for the fire department while the fire station is being redone. And that's that location there.
That American firecracker was gonna have those guys fireworks. We're gonna be done. That's the new fire station.
Taking a hell of a long time.
I don't know how much I know Warren's company name, but
That's gonna be.
all I know is it's fireworks. That's the perfect location. It's right near the high school light. I can take over that, put the trucks there. Nice central location.
Yeah, so anyway, that's some one of the things that's being talked
A
about.
nice gift for you to give the town, Warren. Thank you.
I'm putting that in the minutes. American fire.
One, put the ambulance over here.
Oh, you mean am I with my officer?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm just saying.
When the tide comes in,
All right, yeah, in the back.
you know, water. in
The trucks are big, they can't handle it. No one's riding a Prius into the fire station.
So anyway, that's, there's a bunch of stuff that.
No, there is. Well, it'll be interesting to hear the debate.
Yeah, people are definitely gonna.
I've got an
gonna be
open
there.
mind.
They'll be
The
there.
other two will be easy, that would be the one that could drag it out.
Okay, I get you. Then I stand corrected, and I absolutely agree though.
Yeah.
With the budget, so. See, we'll see.
I think if they went in with a really definitive plan for that property,
Yeah.
it'd be a much better,
Jeff, we say that every,
I know it, and you know what, you never know, you just never know.
every time we go, they say, well, and that's gonna be the first question, well, what are you gonna do with that?
Right.
Why are you buying it? We don't need any more land, what are you gonna do with it?
Well, and that's the thing,
And
so
I
that's,
don't know, they're like, well, we're not gonna buy it if you don't know what you're gonna do with it.
so that's the thing, if the town had definitive answer,
I mean,
so that's the purpose for doing it.
every time,
That's all they
every
need.
time we get a piece of
But
property,
when you buy something without that,
Yeah, the speculative kind
well,
of
that,
way.
that property that we got from Smith and everything, we never did anything, but now until they were like, well, what are you gonna do with it? What are you gonna do with it? Oh, we can do this, we can do that. Well, do you have a plan? No. And of course, we haven't touched it since we bought it, it just sits there.
so.
Well, I mean, you know, there are a lot of good, I mean, what they should do, if we had access to it, they bought a piece of land with no access. Why they did that, I'll never understand that. They have no access to that thing without crossing somebody else's land.
It's landlocked,
So, if they could, so, and there's that bridge and everything, which is unsafe and all that. So if we get access to it, that'd be a great place to put a community garden.
Build a $30 million bridge to a garden.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Same group that's doing the same group that's doing the culvert. I want to hire that group. Oh, cheap little bridge, right?
Yeah, what they looked at,
without sidewalks.
they looked at fixing the bridge after the
I think
fact.
that's what the additional money's for, but that's one of the articles, right?
I think,
The sidewalks,
More money for that, isn't it?
For which,
Isn't one of the warrants more money for the bridge project?
for the Chestnut Street.
for the intersection,
Yeah.
but only for a
Oh,
That's on
interesting.
Central Street.
Sorry.
That's-
oh, for berm, okay.
All right, sorry.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, 50,000 for a berm.
Oh,
Sounds like a lot of, for a
I'm
little.
going to the berm business, forget the plumbing business.
There's more to it than that. I'm sure there will be more details.
Oh,
Okay, so everybody else set with that, because we do have a couple of ZBAs. Now, do we have some information about ZBAs more than what we have on?
They're pretty straightforward though. One is just a person that wants, well, there's a chicken that is super descriptive, actually the best application we've ever had. Yeah, exactly. The layouts, pictures, I think they even have an interview with the chicken. Like comments from the chicken.
Here's the coop separate from the
Exactly.
run.
I'm gonna be on that on Thursday. I'm gonna tell that person it's the best application ever submitted.
The chicken has a business.
Yeah, so that's why that's gonna be my 2 bits is the liaison. But the other one is just a work at home license, right, Danielle? And it's just a person that wants a brokerage type kind of thing. And so it's,
Yeah, that's not.
I don't know we just have the normal comments, right?
Yeah,
Neighbors.
usually do standard, yeah.
Neighbors, not.
Neighbors, no roosters, and follow the home occupation special permit regulation. Unless anyone had anything special to add.
No rooster.
How many chickens?
The Boston accent.
Oh, rooster.
So do we, so what do we want to say for the chickens? Just neighbors?
Neighbors and no roosters.
And then 10 Stewart Road, we just want to say, to adhere to the bylaw, the 300 square feet, et cetera.
It's fine to me.
Yeah, whatever the
Standard,
normal
Yeah,
Yeah,
work at home thing is.
whatever the
Yeah.
bylaw is for
Right.
home occupation business.
Yeah, it should be a quick meeting, because that's, I think, I mean, there's usually sometimes other things added, but it's gonna be, that's all that's on the agenda.
So before we do planning administrative update, I just want to spend just a minute on transportation, because
You just came out of that meeting.
on this transportation committee, which I said, how tough could this be? Well, guess what? And there's a lot to this, The quick thing is, we have two vehicles that the senior said they use. One of them is a 2008 Ford and one of them is a 2015 Dodge. And they're chairlift cars, so we can share. The 2015 Dodge spends most of the time being fixed. And the 2008 Ford is old, so they're concerned about every time they send it down to they do work on it at the DPW because they can fix Fords, they got a bunch of Fords and so on. Every time they send it down, it comes back on the laundry list of things that it needs in order to continue to be safe. So, the rust and the rot, I'm sure, is part of one of the big, I didn't look at anything. So they're trying to solve the problem of how to continue to provide the service with that as a backdrop. So they supposedly going to get a $50,000 from the state if they sign the contract. But there was some questions about whether the governor would cut that in half and only give them $25,000, and then they got about $30,000, I think, that's available to them. But what they want to do is to buy, one of the proposals here is to buy a minivan, brand new, like a Toyota Sienna, and then use that because that'll carry 5 people and it's got good headroom. You can get in and out of it easily, and that would be and that could be, and they could use that and only use the chair trucks when they need a second truck, B, a chairlift.
That's smart.
So and then the state is supposedly going to give us 2 brand new two chair buses. One of them is supposed to be in the fall of this year, and the other one is at sometime in the future, not really known, but they promised us 2. So
So fall.
there's no real. So here's the problem. That was what the agreement, but there's no real schedule for getting the one in the fall. And if you try to buy a brand new truck these days,
I'm trying to buy 2 right now, it's not easy.
the one that I ordered in 2021 is probably going to be a 2028 by the time they build the damn thing. So, I mean, I'm not sure. So they're trying to figure out how best to handle this whole situation. And it's problematic trying to take care of all the people, with the vehicles. And
So it's not a state spec wheelchair van that they just have and order, 50 of them and have them as they come in. Hey, North Reading, yours is up. They don't not doing that.
Theoretically, yeah. I don't know what the
Let's hope it is. Like something they have to reinvent. Like we want this model.
well, the question is, can they get them?
Right.
They got a whole bunch of those mail trucks. Who's the person that got all those friggin' mail trucks down there?
Yeah.
If they can get that many mail trucks, they'll be able to get one chair car easy.
I want that to be my daughter's high school first car,
Old mail truck.
Park with the driveway, the steering wheel on the other side. Think it's top? There you go.
So,
Showing up to parties with that, right?
and so they've really been struggling with this, trying to take care of people, trying to provide the rides, and when their truck and when the Dodge breaks down, which seems to be a real thing, they end up renting from the North Reading Transportation, but it costs them like $375 a day.
Right.
To get a car or a bus or a trailer car.
At least they got them, right?
Yeah, but they eat some money and
Right,
there's no
that's not-
return.
that's not a good-
It's
yeah,
you don't
operating.
need to do too many days or too many weeks of that kind of money before you
Has
buy
anybody-
one.
Has anybody talked to them about potentially donating a vehicle to you guys? Because
Well, so here's the
I-
problem. I can answer that question because believe me, we've tried every angle. Problem is, there are specific, and you mentioned it, there are specific requirements for one of these chair cars. And then, you're not going to get, the state's giving them up, they're giving the ones to us for nothing, okay? When we finally get them, whatever that is. But in the meantime, the only way we could get one is to buy one. Nobody's going to donate one. And also, there is a list of requirements as to what these vehicles must have in order to be considered acceptable to the town. And the list is made up by Chris Deming and a couple of the other people that, and it has to have, air conditioning, it has to have Bluetooth so that the person can talk on the phone without taking their hands off the wheel, and these are all these requirements. So if you get an older vehicle that you might get donated, it's not gonna have at least half of the requirements in a reliable way. And a brand new one is $80,000 or $70,000, $80,000. So that's not something that we could afford to buy right now. And so I'm like, have you gone to the select board to show them what you're doing for the people? And the other thing is, a lot of these drivers are all volunteers. I mean, or they get paid $15 an hour. That's all.
So Lauren, here's the argument, right? You want to buy a piece of land over here for 600 grand, and we can't buy a van to provide for the seniors in our home.
Who built these schools? Who paid all the tax money to build these schools?
It's crazy.
But one might.
So that's an argument. There you go. That's just one.
One might argue just that, the other point is, but this could be the land that built that senior center that, we've all been promising that, but that it squares it off.
No, Jeff's got a good point. I mean,
No, he's got a real good point, because that's at the here and now.
Yeah.
That's what,
They gotta kill
we need it now, we need.
So anyway, that's just a little bit. I mean, if you got any questions on it, I probably answer, these people working pretty hard trying to make.
Clearly, especially.
Yeah, I was in one of the meetings where they were kicking it around and they were talking about all this stuff and they were trying to find a way to find matching funds and
So back in November, September, maybe it was either September or November, I think maybe it was September, when they had these, before I was involved with them, they actually got together and they had sat down, had a vote, they voted to buy a minivan. And that was the vote, and then they never did it. So there's one of the guys on there who was saying, we voted to do this, we never did it, how come we never did it? Well, it was, part of it is the money thing. But the new Toyota Sienna is not cheap either.
yeah, they're expensive.
So it'd be a hybrid.
Yeah.
So, so there was $50,000 that by the end of this week, I think by the end of this week, if the state signs the contract, they give us $50,000, and we have 30, so we could theoretically, make up the difference.
And then you amortize that, or you sell for 10 years, roughly, that kind of vehicle? Is that what you're looking?
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't think we were talking right now. We're just trying to solve the immediate problem.
No, I just mean,
They were kicking it around with Uber.
You just said it. 'Cause what I mean by that is, Uber, how much is the Uber?
It's 16 years old.
Yeah, but I'm just saying what Jeff was saying, I've heard that brought up before, is why don't we do Uber? It's more selective, because you might only have so many rides in one day versus you're always saying there's one fixed.
And that was part of the argument too.
So what
Because
they-
Uber's, they're paying their insurance, we're not paying insurance. They're providing a driver, we're not. We don't have to worry about the schedule. It's just pick up your phone,
It's on demand.
boom, bang, and you got it.
So what they have some money in the budget, and they just hired somebody to run that whole program more or less out of the senior center. And she was at the meeting last night, and they do when they have to do that, they do that. But again, this lost money.
Is it lost money? I mean,
but
I don't disagree, but are you sure?
Right,
Even again, if the truck, if you're getting 50 and you're only paying 30, that's not too bad. So
No, they got 30. They getting 50. They need.
that's what I mean, but they have 30, which is.
50 grand's a lot of Uber
30
rides,
from
man.
the
That's
30
a lot.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
Except for the fact that by the time you do a year and a half of those, then you've got empty pockets, and you still can. They need a vehicle. They need a vehicle that can be available during the time, and so they can schedule their driver.
Or even does Uber have Lyft?
Well, I'm not sure they have lifts, but for the portion of needed lifts versus,
for getting the Sienna kind of idea,
Well, the Sienna is going to be to take for people who are ambulatory.
Yeah.
Or mobile.
Yeah.
As opposed to the.
What's the percentage of that, of the seniors that are managed?
I didn't find that.
I think it's really because I can't remember one of the meetings I went to, all these things came out. And I think it's really top heavy. Most of the trips that the seniors are doing are going to Walgreens, and
And then most of the trips are between here and Reading, more or less, as far as distance goes.
Right.
But the big thing is taking them into Boston to the hospitals. That's where the Sienna will come, because the chair truck, the chair trucks, vans, whatever, are a little bit bulky, and they're trying to.
So I have a question. Behind the Dunkin' Donuts near the Cody funeral home,
Yep.
you know, the home in the back there? Yeah, I know that they, because well, anyways, they do have back there, they have all those chairs, all the vans, I believe, are the chairlift
Yeah,
types.
we don't have access to them. Well, you know.
No, I'm just saying, like, maybe they're doing something that's a little bit more not so budget heavy, or maybe, you know, I mean, because I would think that most of it might even be donated. They might know somebody or something, but they use a lot of them.
Yeah.
Because they pull them in and out of the barn and they have them, and, you know, when they go on a trip, they need like 4 or 5 of those things just to take some of the Red Sox
Yeah,
game.
but they have their own agenda, and they're not gonna give up a couple of their vans and then all of a sudden need them. They have, you know, that's not gonna happen. Because we tried that with the school department has a bunch of vans that are great for hauling people around. During the day when they're not using them, they won't give those up either, not even one. So they have a reason for that. If they don't want to have a situation where they can't provide the transportation that they've required or that they promised to give to the school kids, or so that for every one of the programs they got. So they tried all kinds of things, but what really needs to happen is the thing needs to be self-sufficient, and that's the problem. And right now they're working with the two older vehicles. The two older vehicles, one of them's going to be 10 years old next year, and the other one's already 16 years old. And so they're really.
Can't draft a warrant article and slam the select board for this?
Well, some left. But one of the things I said to them, I said, have you gone to the select board?
Yeah.
Presented them.
Draft a warrant article and get the money.
Yeah, and can they find some money someplace to help you get a minivan so that we can at least provide, at least have one new vehicle that's reliable transportation for the majority of the people that you want to haul around. So that was that. So now we just had a meeting last night. We're going to have another meeting in a week because we're researching a bunch of stuff. We're trying to find. We're looking at. There's a whole bunch of companies that have them that sell them, but they don't. But because of their age, they have to be less than 3 years old. Well, they're all more than 3 years old, but they're pushing to get 70,000, 80,000 miles on, which
Nothing.
Well, you say that, but the ones that we have only have 80,000 miles on them.
Yeah.
So they're like, so they don't want any high miles. I mean, so first things first. First, we have to take that list and change that list so that and everybody has to read it and say, okay, we agree to these new conditions. It could be 5 years old. It could be this. It could be that. Because a 5-year-old vehicle these days is going to have Bluetooth. So,
Yeah, I agree.
yeah, and then we have to accept the mileage, what's the limit, how much miles? We're not going to put that many miles on it, so the fact that it's got 110,000 miles on it, is that okay? Or do we want to limit it to 79,000 miles?
If it's a Toyota or a Ford.
Once we modify that list down to something that brings us back down to the price range of something we can afford, we could buy a good used chair, because they're out there, they are there. There's a bunch of them, they're everywhere, but none of them fit within the four corners of the.
Yeah, but when you talk about all the Bluetooth stuff, you're gonna have to market that stuff.
Oh, I know, I said that like.
You could just,
My 96 dump truck, you put a Bluetooth radio on it.
Yeah.
It's like you're on, that's it.
So I mean, if you get the right vehicle and you're falling short by one item, just aftermarket the one item.
But it has to say that. Because, and everybody has to read this and sign.
Good man, Mark.
We agree to the new conditions. So right now, we just got all the conditions in the email today, and I'm gonna draft up with these changes and send it back, and then we may, in less than a week, now we'll meet again, and we'll try to put something together that we can send out to Chris and the guys down there, see if they'll sign off on it, so that we now have a set of conditions that we can probably find something that will fit in there. But having said that, that's a good second step. the first step is definitely, if the state signs off on the 50,000, so we have enough money to get us Sienna, get one brand new vehicle so we can give the lab.
That'd be awesome.
That's where we're at. Whew. I thought this was a piece of cake until we said I got into it. Oh, no, this is a real job.
No.
These people have been doing a lot of work. They've been really, they've chased people like to drive, and they provide these people. The town doesn't realize what they keep getting out of these people.
Yeah, a lot of good.
For nothing, you know, I mean, they're basically, they got volunteers that bring their own cars and drive people around, and
Yeah.
the other thing is that I was surprised, I said, well, you know, I know in order for me to haul people around, I need passenger on my driver's license. And I have passenger on my driver's. I have everything on my driver's license. I have everything you can get on a license I have on my driver's license. So I said, do these guys have to go to school and they get the P on their license? They don't know, they're just driving their own license. So I'm wondering about the liability of that, you know? Yeah.
Yeah, that's a tough one.
Volunteer. Covered under the Samaritan.
I'm not getting paid. I wonder if you still.
They're being paid
Oh, there.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
$15 an hour. I said, that's not near enough. I said, I said, you know, we have trouble getting people. I said,
It makes more money than that.
He said, a bunch of them don't really even, because they're on-the-time people, they don't care if they get paid. They come and they do it for the town. The town has no idea how many volunteers, people come and do stuff to help out. Nobody ever, they don't even care about being paid. They just want to help the town. So there's a lot of awesome people in this town, so.
Is that also, does that satisfy like that, you know, the credit for the property taxes, you know?
Yeah,
that small
they do
thing.
get a little,
But
yeah.
does that help a little bit?
But they're also limited to 19 hours a week.
Right, okay, yeah.
So that's all, 19 hours, but, and then they do get a little thing on their real estate tax. If they own the home, if they just live here and they don't, you know, say they live with their kids, they get nothing, or
Right.
get $15,
Yeah.
15.27 or something, so it's still silly number. I said, you gotta pay them at least $25 an hour and you'll get better, you know, you get more people, you get some a little bit higher quality people because they're willing to, they'll be doing it for the money. These people are doing it just to help the town. Majority of these drivers are just nice people.
That's a tough, the whole thing, that's a tough one.
Thanks, Warren, for the update, that one.
So anyway, so if I can ask you, can you drive on Wednesday? 2 hospital trips, that's all. Because see, the other problem is, so here's what happens too, I mean, about the roofing. So they'll show up in town, they'll go pick them up and they'll bring them to the hospital, but they can't wait, but they're going to a 4-hour one. They can't sit there and wait for 4 hours.
Yeah, you get Uber again.
So they go home.
And then go back and then.
Well, that's why, I don't think the
Now they
Uber
call
thing fits
the
everything.
administrator at the senior center and they arrange for a Uber and they, you know, so.
Yeah, I think
And
that
again, that money
Uber
is-
fits in a certain thing, you know, it's for the ambulatory and point A to B type people. And you know, I don't think it's necessarily the best for a hospital type visit. You know, 'cause they're not gonna necessarily, they're one, Uber's not known for, you know, opening the door and getting you out, walking you in.
And that's another problem, that a lot of them, there is a really good group of people that
They need
need,
help.
At least
yeah,
that,
they need a doorstep to seat and seat the doorstep.
yeah,
And Uber won't do that.
yeah, that's right.
Right.
So Lyft won't do that, Uber won't do that. So, but if you send the town guy, when the town guy drives from the town over, they'll get up and he'll go help them from the door to the van back to the door. Because they're not there for the money or anything, they're there just to help out, so.
We need to figure out a way to help the elderly, because that stinks.
So
You'll need more of them.
So that's what that's what they got me working on here, so, anyway.
Danielle, do you have any other updates or anything?
No, I mean, really just the town meeting stuff I ended up setting up to put on the agenda.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's really. Oh, I'm sorry, no, that's not true, schedule. Warren, you and I spoke last week about our February meetings and I realized that what we talked about doesn't quite work. So our next meeting is scheduled for February 6th. Now, we already had an advertised public hearing for that night. that is the opening of that open space residential development. Warren, I think you're away.
Yeah.
Okay.
Tell me again, which one is that?
That is the Amber Road, April Street,
Amber Road.
Charles, yeah. So they were gonna be coming in to open up their presentation. We had talked about potentially moving that meeting to the next week, but actually we had already advertised a public hearing for that. So we do have to keep that on the agenda, at least to open it up and have them give an introduction. I'm imagining it would be a brief introduction, and then it'll be to the next time. But as far as the meeting after that, I think the following week, I don't think you're home by the time that meeting rolls around anyway. I'm gone the week of school vacation. I don't know if school vacation is a tough time for anybody else, but I will not.
Sometimes.
So I did want to talk about when we would like to schedule our next meetings. I think we are pretty much locked into the 6th because we have that advertised. I think we have to meet that night. And then I think that.
Trying to ruin my first record.
Are you not going to be there on the 6th? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, because I'll be unable to vote.
On the boat?
Oh, you lucky dog.
On a cruise?
Yeah.
Nice. Good for you.
I think I shouldn't say this, but I take my wife on a cruise every year on our anniversary,
Very
That's
good.
awesome.
number 33.
Nice.
Wow. That's awesome.
It's our time. We love it.
All right, so
So I think the 6th and possibly the 27th are really going to be the open for our meeting dates, unless you guys want to have the meeting on the 20th. I won't be there. I know we've done that before. It's up to you if you want to do that or not. But I thought we should talk about it.
I don't have anything that's just out there right now that I can't make that any Tuesday. Things come up, but right now, I'm fine with whatever it is. Do you have anything traveling?
Preference to 20th, 27th.
20th, yeah.
Yeah, because I'm back on the 16th, I guess.
Okay,
So the 20th, if Warren's back on the 16th or the 20th, make more sense.
that's fine. I just won't. I'm
Yeah,
gonna be here in a week, but that's fine if you want to have the meeting.
That way that you won't miss a meeting.
Yeah.
Warren, see, I'm on your team, buddy.
Yeah.
On your team.
He's always going to, he's going
Yeah, we have 6 on the 6th.
Oh, yeah, that's good.
we're going to break this. It starts back up on the 20th.
I think over the last 30 years, I've missed 4 meetings.
You sure it's just been 4?
I don't miss a meeting every 7 years, so.
You're alive, yeah.
Well, one of them is because they had it on July 3rd, and I was over.
Oh, yeah. You're an OB. You're an OB.
No, that one. There was one North Reading doing that.
Oh,
It's
American firecracker, there he is.
Thank you, Ryan.
American
Yes.
fireworks.
There we go. Thank you. Correction, let the record show.
America.
Mr. Chairman, I
Yeah.
make a motion that merchant fireworks.
I'm bringing everybody a t-shirt, that's all.
I do want an exploding T-shirt though, whenever you get around to it. One that they already have wired up. They can just do whatever. But he's out in the parking lot, you just hear a blast. I'm off.
Yeah, so the 20th is good for me.
Okay, so do you prefer to have that meeting that night? I just won't be there.
What, on the 6th?
No, on the 20th.
Well, we should do the 26th then.
Do the 26th then.
Yeah, do the 26th.
Yeah.
So the 27th, actually. would be the date.
It's 27?
The
Okay.
27th.
That's easy enough. It just makes it so we're just.
So you're gonna do
We've got Warren out on the 6th and then
Yeah,
Danielle.
So 6 and 27.
Because you'll be gone on the 20th.
Oh, yeah, there you go. That makes more sense.
So we would just have, the 6th and then the 27th. Does that seem okay?
It's okay.
Okay, and then we would be back to our, actually, we would not be right back to our regular schedule for March because election on March 2nd. So, but we can deal with that at our next meeting. I don't know what's going to be with the agenda items. So maybe we'll decide. And I think there are 5
things.
No, 5 Tuesdays. Actually, no, that's not true. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Tuesdays in April.
I'm also on the fire station committee, going update on that.
Well, can I just ask a really
What, you
simple
know,
question?
realize how much stuff there is.
Well, can I ask a simple question?
Sure.
So I'm living in the city and I've seen all the, I lived in Southie for 11 years and I know the fire stations really well. I had some friends that are firefighters and whatever. These guys are cycling out probably every 15 minutes on a call, and a lot of them were fires.
Yeah.
Okay. Then you go to North Reading, and North Reading is 99.9% EMS, you know? And then there's a fire once in a while, and it's a garage, whatever. But maybe there's maybe 3 fires, structural fires, and that might be on the high side for North Reading in general. Why do we need a decontamination room that no other firehouse has? Like when we're talking about like we don't have money and we talk about the $680,000, why are we putting bells and whistles on a firehouse, things into a firehouse that really are like starting to border on like, come on, guys, do we really need a decontamination?
Well, but here's the problem. Here's the problem, and it's not, oh, do we decide to do this?
No, it's
No.
probably a spec, right, or something that has to.
Right.
It's gonna be.
Yeah,
That's why I'm just asking the question.
Well,
I didn't say I had the answer.
There's a liability because some of the chemicals and the things they use, the PFAS stuff they use for some of these fires,
Yeah,
is cancerous, it's carcinogenic.
Yeah.
So they need to be able to get clean, and they haven't been able to. And so in fire departments, there's a high rate of cancer and stuff like that from the stuff they deal with.
but this fire department, and I think that's worth asking, is we don't have that problem.
And we're not gonna have that problem because we have to do this if we're gonna rehab the firehouse. We can't do it and not do this.
Okay,
And it's not a huge one, not a huge thing,
yeah,
and it's probably not a significant.
but that one just stood out to me as kind of like,
Well, the other thing is that they had to redo the bathrooms so they could do, because they need bathrooms for women.
yeah, no, I get all
They have
that.
the set, so that all it adds on is one room where they can take that stuff off, go to the next one, and then clean up and then go. And then there's another room that has their second set of gear in it.
So are we using a one-off design or are we going with like a state design?
We're going with the standard design. The architects did it
Okay,
to fire station.
right, I get that, but is it a one-off design by
If
that
we did
architect?
all of this, it's already, we're already trying to put.
We'll beat this thing to death.
We're already trying to put 10 pounds into a 5-pound bag.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we're gonna put the overhang over the front to bring the front of the station out, create all upstairs rooms that we need.
Yeah, just can't believe it, right?
And then some of the equipment, what you really need to do is you need to go through a tour of the fire station and go through there and go through.
No, I've seen it because I brought my kids in there and they have open houses and stuff, so I do know it.
You go
And
downstairs and go.
There's no argument, though, I just want to understand,
Yeah,
there's no argument that we need a new one. I was talking about some of the bells and whistles that I heard talked about. I was like, we really need all these things?
Yeah, we do, because we not provide them and have somebody get sick and blamed on that because we didn't do that, it will cost us a whole lot more than it.
What's the reuse portion one? Is it historical?
What?
Is it historical reusing it, or
The building?
is it
No.
more efficient to redo it than rebuild? I'm just curious.
Well,
Just starting to do.
What,
so we already own the land, if you know, and
Versus demo.
Oh, here we go. Yeah, so they're not demoing it, it's a rent out or?
yeah, it's a renovation, but they have, I remember they completed part of it and the floor cracked, and they thought the fire engines were gonna fall into the downstairs when they did the floor crack.
What's the budget?
Let's see. So I think 30 million or something is, but it's 23 or 20.
That's for a rental?
million. It's like 24 million and then there's soft costs, which are building and housing all of the equipment during the renovation.
Right, the temp, all the temp measures.
All the temp measures, all that stuff, which is gonna bring,
I'm curious, what's it cost to build a new building?
Less than that.
with or without the land.
Well, I'm just, what's it cost to build a brand new firehouse?
Well, don't forget, this is fire and police.
Okay, so what's it cost for a brand new fire and police
I
building?
couldn't tell you
You're
that.
talking $30 million for renovation? That's insane. I can't wrap my head around that one.
Well, as Ryan just said.
And the footprint of that building is not that big. That's crazy. I mean, what's it cost to build a new facility, because honestly,
So what's the cost?
if the town has the land somewhere else, plunk it down somewhere else, a brand new one.
Crazy.
Well, that got talked about quite a bit, okay? But where are you gonna put it? I mean, we own this nice piece of land over
Green
on,
Central Street.
where on,
Oh, is it, no, what's the building, what's the one that they're trying to build?
You do it on Concord, you mean?
No, no, what's the
think about
land
the location that they have, they're at,
at Ipswich River?
yeah, they're,
One second.
Oh, 1 Central,
Oh, okay, well, yeah.
1 and 3 Central. Put a new building, firehouse right there.
probably put a temporary one there to house everything, but anyway,
Put a permanent one there.
Yeah.
We own the land.
they don't want, they're not gonna do that because they want that for the intergenerational stuff. So, anyway, the problem is that the firehouse where it is now is actually pretty centrally located.
Yeah.
And, so they can go either way about the same amount to you know, from east to west.
I agree. I think it's a good spot, but it sounds like.
That's insane, the way they're tossing around all this dough. It's just burning my brain.
But there's a lot of stuff. And now, where my office is, they go by me all day long, all day. Back and forth, all day long. They are very.
Heading out to Main Street, then back. Heading out to the apartments, then back.
Yeah.
Heading out to Main
And
Street.
again, it is all EMS, but they got, because of staffing, they gotta send the truck.
Every
And
single
the
time.
truck costs $500,000 and it's just basically a sled that just goes back and forth.
Yeah, so last night they came by my house on Polo Drive to a house up the street. I'm not sure whose house it was, but there was the ambulance and the fire truck,
Oh, yeah.
and 2 police cars, and, you know, I mean, but.
And I get why. It was explained to me by one of the firefighters finally, why do you guys take the engine to everything? Because he goes, if the firefighters go and say Suburban or an EMS vehicle, and then a fire call comes out, somebody's gonna go back to the station and get the engine. So
Yeah, that's crazy.
so I get it, but it's just like it kills you. Because that engine just burns up miles.
Back and forth all day long.
I'm surprised when they put the Bolte property, when they put all that stuff up.
They didn't put something.
Because they did this, you know, remember the quarry in
For a good 25 years of going to town, going to these meetings and doing these these facilities master plans, number one thing was always a west side fire station.
Yeah.
And it's only been the last couple times that they stopped doing that. But before that, it was always a number one thing.
When they negotiated that property, they should have done it. You know where the quarry in Malden, where, I don't know if you guys are familiar with it.
Yeah.
The old road construction.
Yeah.
Road construction, right?
Right.
That quarry, when that went in, that was like the first thing they discussed, because that's like right on the property. So they actually they built the building they put in there, they put the Malden Fire, Revere Fire, Malden EMS, Revere EMS. That was all negotiated before they would break ground, and they said no, because there's gonna be so many people that live there, and it's gonna put such a burden on the downtown station right on Broadway. It's gonna take you 14 and a half minutes to get there.
Okay, when we built the Berry Center there, when we were negotiating to build that property there, the part of the presentation was, you're gonna get all of this, you know, for Edgewood, you're gonna get all this extra money. So I said, oh, good, because I brought an article from Landing Magazine that said, whenever you build one of these, you need to build into your service business a couple of firemen and a couple of policemen. And so they said, there'll be plenty of money, and we'll do that. And we never got it. And then, by the time that was all done, we had lost 2 firemen and 1 policeman. We were acting, and we never.
Did you find them?
Huh? No, Eddie became the chief for a while, and he and I actually went to the select board. I went with him. So I said, I was on the planning board. They agreed to provide us with the money so we could hire these additional people. And Eddie from the police department, he never got them. He said the fire department didn't get them. And the select board went,
The only thing I would say, if we ever did that,
it should be a very small building that houses literally an ambulance. And that's what it should have, and it shouldn't have.
And you say that because of
That's 99.9% of the calls. And yeah, it would mean that it needs to be staffed. It means you need to buy a $200-something-thousand ambulance, but you don't have to buy a $375,000, engine.
So the engines cost more.
Yeah,
I was using the low side. That was one that I saw, I remember about $5.50. But
$375,000.
I'm just saying, like that, the user buying that engine for what, if you want to have a satellite fire station, I'd be on board with everything but buying a fire truck.
Well, I tried to, I asked because I'm on that facilities master plan committee too. So anyway, I said, why, are we gonna do, nope.
Oh,
Maybe we can go to Pulte and say, we'll put another story on to give us a fire station.
yeah.
Yeah.
But you know why they know? When you're spending $30 million for a fire station, you're gonna get a no on satellite.
And had to get it.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
That's why.
Yeah.
Trust me, once this thing's built, it'll be,
No.
Oh, yeah.
they're just stopping their push right now because they're working on the.
Oh, yeah. That's exactly what.
So you're gonna get a yup after this gets built, then it's gonna be a yup. We need, trust me. Yeah.
Oh,
The fire station, yeah. They're just being quiet right now because they're absorbing $30 million in the taxpayers' money.
The whole facilities master plan committee, which was supposed to look at all the facilities, essentially the majority of our meetings are centered around the fire department and the fire station, and that's it.
I don't even, like,
I don't know.
we're in construction, like, how do you expend that much money in that little area of that fire station?
I would love to see that project.
All the trades and.
I mean, the footprint is not that big.
It's not tech heavy.
It's gotta be, the place is gotta be gutted, I guess, so.
So for remediation, we can talk remediation of that, right?
I don't think so, because it's not that long ago, well, I mean, it is kind of a while ago, but it's not so long ago that they wouldn't have remediated everything at that point.
Yeah.
Asbestos.
Yeah, they did that. How many years ago did they do that?
Yeah, well, that's back when we sent all of the fire engines and everything over to New England Springwater, and they had them in their building over there while we did the floor and all that, floor.
It was caving in.
Yeah, crack, yeah. Be a problem, so. They're parking them in the basement.
There's no question, it's an old building needs to be replaced. I'm just surprised by that.
Well, there's gonna be an addition onto the side of the building, and then there's the whole roof line is going up and coming across. So it creates a big roof, and then there's a big space in the front overhang, or where the roof is, that there's just gonna be, there was nothing planned for it. We're like, well, what's all this space for? What's storage? Okay. But they're putting a training room in, they're putting, there's a whole bunch of things that are, that a fire departments traditionally need that they really don't have, I mean, it's how much we spend on school.
What?
Is there almost $15 million in it?
Look how much money we spent on schools. Square footage wise, remember, a lot of that building was already there. We added on to it, so, you know what I mean? We look at it from that perspective.
The Tajma toilet cost over $1 million, the one at the field.
There you go.
Yeah, that was a $1 million.
$1 million.
Doing toilet. Yeah, that was over $1 million.
I wish I put it in.
They're very nice.
And they didn't know.
Work.
Because
Because it's a precast.
They have to replace these turf fields every
Yeah, 400 grand.
every 7 or 8 years or something, you gotta replace them because the chemicals in the fake grass breaks down.
$400,000 we spent.
They got 14 years out of that off high school.
Yeah.
14 is,
I just put them in at the high school. Sure. You want less?
yeah.
Yeah.
That's funny, that's how long I've been in town.
Yeah.
Basically, because I remember it went in when
The high school?
but it feels like not a big deal. And so you're kind of like, that was just the other day.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Nope.
I'm already down the right.
Time flies. All right, let's get out of here,
How many
Mr.
more
Chairman.
years, how many more years we get to pay for the school?
Right about the time we start paying for that fire station.
So true.
Don't worry, the rate went
All right,
down.
we'll close the meeting. I don't know if we're still recording.
Your sense no